You know, lately I've been playing a lot of Super Smash Brothers, and most people will tell you pick a character based on the meta, how good they are in the game. What I'll tell you, the best way to pick a character is whether or not they've been in an anime. That's right, consult the anime tier list for Super Smash Brothers to pick your best character. Bonus points if that character's anime counterpart was even better than their video game appearance. Yes, that is correct. King Dedede and Captain Falcon are now highest tier. But before I forget that I'm a manga reviewer and not a video game reviewer, let's get to the manga already. This is the haul I've collected from the past 3 months. Now, this actually is not the complete haul. I still have the second half of the video where we'll be going into my classroom to see what I got from my classroom in the past 3 months. But for now, let's look at the volumes that I have at home, starting first with 20th Century Boys. 20th Century Boys is a very interesting series. It's kind of been on my radar for a long time, but for some reason I just haven't picked it up. It's by author Urasawa, who wrote one of my now favorite series, Pluto. And I'm like, well, if I liked Pluto so much, I should really check out 20th Century Boys and Monster. I have Volume 1 of Monster coming in the mail. It's a used copy, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get here than this brand spanking new copy. And let me just tell you one thing. Holy crap. People weren't kidding about this series. I adore it. I love murder mysteries, and I love just like drama and supernatural suspense as well. So, I mean, this has it all for me. And I'm like really trying my gosh darn best to not just go out and just rapid fire buy the rest of the manga, because the omnibuses haven't been completed yet. I believe there's only 3 out right now, and there's a fourth coming out this summer. And even those, like, I believe if we're looking at the volume count of the regular edition, there's only supposed to be like 10 or 11 omnibuses. So we still have quite a ways to go. So I'm really trying to be patient. I'm really trying to just be like, okay, just wait to get more money. Like, you've already spent a lot of money on manga right now. Just be patient. But I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Obvious high recommendation from me. I really like too how it's about characters in their 30s. You usually don't get a lot of manga about older characters. Usually it's a bunch of teeny bop stuff, so I very much appreciate this manga. Hey, speaking of teeny bop stuff, Dead Demons DDDD Destruction, I believe I said that right, by our Lord and Savior Asano. Asano is just incredible with manga, and this volume is another hard hitter. I mean, just glorious. I really like a lot of the themes that are going on in this work. It's brutal, and it's really quite hard-hitting. Like, it's not as hard-hitting as, say, something like Goodnight Poon Poon, but as I mentioned before on this channel, this is my preferred series when it comes to Asano. I like this and Solanin. I'm one of those people that didn't like Poon Poon that much, just because I'm too much of a goody two-shoes. I'm like, no, everything must be perfect and all the characters must be having fun at all times. But no, I really enjoy this series. The volumes are a little expensive, and they're kind of slim, right? I mean, $15, right? For that much. I paid $15 for this. It's $20 normally. You can see the difference here. So I get that Asano's work is super highly detailed. I understand why it's so expensive, but you know, this could be an issue for some of you guys who don't like to spend a lot of money on manga. Next, we have the Heroic Legend of Arslan. Later on in this video, I talk about another one of Arakawa's works, Silver Spoon. Arslan is a little bit more serious. A lot of people go into it thinking it's going to be like Fullmetal Alchemist, and they come out going like, well, there's a lot more like dialogue heavy than Fullmetal Alchemist was, and it certainly is. But I've been enjoying it so far. I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy this volume. Haven't read it yet, but it's got the villain on the cover, so it must be good, right? Next we have, oh, yes, Land of the Lustrous. So good. I think one of my favorite parts about starting this YouTube channel was I had at least one or two people in the comments say that they got into this series because I recommended it, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes! I love sharing this series with people. It's just, it's profound. It's beautiful. It's made me really think about my life and where I fit in with the universe. Like, am I truly satisfied with what I'm doing? Am I truly willing to change? And is that change really going to make me happy? I mean, Land of the Lustrous has it all. If you haven't read this series, don't look too hard at this cover. Technically, the cover is a spoiler. But where we're at right now with the current manga, man, it's been tough. It's been tough, but it's been good. Again, always a recommendation for me. Mob Psycho 100 Volume 2, again, another amazing volume. Do not shy away from this series because of the art. The art is rough, but trust me, it's worth it. And as I've mentioned before on this channel, I believe, sometimes the art, in my opinion, is better than most manga. One has a really, really great way of like really getting you into the characters' heads. Yeah, his art style is rough, but it's really beautiful once you get used to it. My only issue with this is, take a look at that. What's that? It's Dark Horse. Dark Horse publishes this, and they're really taking their time publishing this series. It's kind of making me antsy. Not gonna lie, please Dark Horse, get on it. The anime is, the season 2 is already over in the anime, and some people really, really want to read this story legally. Please provide it to them. And please don't do a weird thing where you, like, change the spines halfway through. Don't do this to me again. Blood Blockade Battlefront was bad enough. Oh, hey, One Piece. How you doing? One Piece Volume 89, featuring the finale of Luffy versus Katakuri. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Whole Cake Island is my third favorite arc in One Piece now. It's so good. And Katakuri is the best villain since Rob Lucci. I mean, this fight is insane. If you would have said to me like a couple of years back, yeah, one of the best fights in One Piece is going to be Luffy versus a guy who has the mochi mochi fruit, I would have been like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I would have not believed you. It's insanely good, and it's going to be cool finally seeing the conclusion in physical format next month, I believe. It's going to be published in May, Volume 90, that is, so very cool stuff. One Piece is just so good. Next we have The Promised Neverland, Volumes 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Woo! So Promised Neverland, I've actually had these volumes for a long time. These really belong in the second half of this video where I show off the manga that I purchased for my classroom, but I brought these home because my sister just got done with the anime, and she was like, yo, I gotta read these. I was like, no problem, girl. And she absolutely loves it. By the way, the anime of The Promised Neverland, I watched it with her. It's really good, and they actually did a little update kind of thing for the ending of the first arc. I'm not going to say what it is to be vague, but it's a subtle little thing. A character lets down her hair, and just thematically, that's just, it's so cool. If you know what I'm talking about, like, you know what I mean. Promised Neverland is always a high recommendation from me. Again, though, you got some issues with the spine. You're going to see later on in this video, I point out another volume where we have some spine issues. I really wish publishers would kind of take their time with these publications. Hey, speaking of which, okay, so you're not really supposed to show the inside of manga volumes because people get angry and they get antsy and stuff, but okay, I'm just going to show it really quick, all right? Are you ready? So I'm really not supposed to show you the inside of volumes, so all right, Promised Neverland, Volume 9, right? Right? Okay, right? What's this? It's Demon Slayer. There's a random chapter in the middle of this book that is interrupted with like a couple pages of Demon Slayer. This is one of the oddest manga volumes I own. There's like, it's just a misprint. Fortunately, none of the pages of The Promised Neverland are missing, but I was reading this, and then all of a sudden I get to the part with Demon Slayer. It just literally just goes to the next page, and all of a sudden it's Demon Slayer, and I was like, what in the world? So I contacted Viz Media about this. It happens. I wasn't mad about it. I mean, it's totally fine, but it was just a really interesting misprint that I wanted to show off. Yeah, cool stuff. Next is To Your Eternity. I've mentioned To Your Eternity before. Awesome series. Really just sad, but also brilliant. I kind of don't like this cover, though, because it's kind of anime-ish. I know that sounds kind of weird, but, like, this manga I really enjoy for its, like, rough art style, and this looks like something out of, like, an anime still. I don't really know what's going on here. Not too sure. Again, high recommendation for me. The only thing I'll say about this volume is I don't like Prince Vaughn's character development in this volume, in the second half and beyond. I'm really, really not liking it. He's like my favorite character, but now I'm like, I don't know if you're my favorite anymore. You're tricky. Next we have Soul Eater, volumes 4 through 6. At the beginning of this video, you may have noticed that these two volumes were swapped. Soul Eater is a fantastic shonen series that I read when I was a preteen and a teenager, but for some reason I never quite collected them. Actually, not just for some reason. The reason is Yen Press and them greedy little hands of theirs, $13 a pop for each one of these volumes. Yeah, ouch. I bought all of these new. I plan on buying the rest of the series new if I can. Soul Eater is fantastic, but that's the one thing that kept me away from the series. If you don't know much about it, it's just bonkers. they live in a world where characters can turn into weapons. So you'll have a character wielding, say, like a scythe, and they'll throw the scythe behind their opponent. The scythe will turn into a person and literally like backstab the opponent. It's crazy stuff, and it's really fun. Don't let the title intimidate you, by the way. It is like dark, and it's also about the occult, but it's more goofy, and it more is like takes inspiration from that kind of stuff than actually celebrates that kind of stuff. So, if you're a hardcore Catholic like me, don't be scared of that title. Speaking of titles that are confusing, Bakemonogatari, also known as Monster Tale. My friend Ian literally just got me this light novel. It literally just came in the mail, so I'm super excited to read this, but obviously I didn't have time to read it for this video. So if you've read this series before, please let me know how it is in the comments. Obviously I'm going to read it, but I'd like to know what you think. I got a bunch of light novels on this Kindle, including a few of the recent Bacano volumes, Magical Girl Raising Project Volume 6. I also tried out some samples of Tanya the Evil, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Light novels are really fun. It's like the fun of manga, but in books. So I really like digital reading, so if I like this volume, I'll probably get the rest digitally. Thank you so much, Ian. Really appreciate it. As I mentioned before, I'm filming this part of the video in my classroom. These are comics that I either forgot to include before because, well, I forgot them in my classroom, or that I just recently got from my classroom. So let's go ahead and get started with Demon Slayer, also known as Kimetsu no Yaiba. This is a pretty solid series. I really like Demon Slayer. My only issue with it is the art style, and I don't even mean that in like a bad way. Like, it's not bad because the art is bad. Like, I just don't like the art for some reason. It's kind of a little too rough for me. But some of my students seem to really like this series, and clearly, with how popular it is, I mean, there must be something good to it. Maybe it gets better after the first volume, but I wasn't too impressed. So for now, I'm just going to stop at this first volume. Let me know in the comments if it gets better after this. But if you like kind of like Inuyasha-ish, feudal, well, this is not feudal era, I should probably clarify that, but older stories featured in Japan, you'll like this one. Next is My Hero Academia School Briefs, and check the product description before you ever buy anything, because it's a book. For some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason in my hazy state of mind when I bought this, I thought this was like short stories of the manga, like little side stories. Nope, it's just straight up a series of short stories and a light novel, which is fine, and I'm guessing that some of my students are going to get a lot of good use out of this, but it's not what I expected, so buyer beware. Next, of course, we had all of these volumes 9 through 18. Now you'll notice actually that number 12 is missing. I believe it's number 12. Number 12 is being loaned out to a student right now, so just pretend it's here. So I got these during a sale. I believe it was a Right Stuff sale, and yeah, they're awesome. My students love these volumes. They love reading them. I'm going to be honest with you though, probably going to stop here. I'm planning on getting the 2 or 3 volumes that compose the school festival arc with Gentle, because he's like one of my favorite villains in Shonen right now. But other than that, I'm like, I think we're pretty good stopping here, because I only have so much money. And as much of a fan as I am of My Hero Academia, I'm kind of just content reading the chapters as they're coming out on the Shonen Jump app. But my students really like these, and especially volume number 17. Oof. So good. I actually bought this one separately a long time before I bought the rest of these, because I just love Lemillion. He's such a well-written character. I cannot wait for some of my students to get to this part so I can see the despair in their eyes. I'm just kidding. Or am I? Speaking of despair, next we have Girl from the Other Side, and this is one of the very few series where, yeah, you check the age rating on the back. It says teen, but I'm going to level with you. It's pretty, like, it's not hard. It's a good story. It's not like a bad, like, raunchy story where, like, My Hero Academia, I have to worry about, like, some of the costumes. This series is solid, man, and a lot of my students really like it. Volume 6 introduces more plot elements. Who is Teacher really? Was Teacher ever once human? Was he born of the monsters? What's actually going on? I will say, I really like the creature introduced in Volume 5, the sea creature, like the shadowy whale kind of creature. I love him, and I had a student who was like freaking out about that thing. She was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I was like, I know, creepy, right? Always a high recommendation for me. Girl from the Other Side. Next, we have the life-changing manga of tidying up. Y'all know Marie Kondo. If you don't, she's got this amazing self-help cleaning book. She also has a Netflix TV show now, which is pretty sweet. I actually got introduced to her through her book, but I bought this manga because, well, I'm a huge manga fan, and, you know, I wanted to see what the manga version was like, and yeah, it's basically just a condensed version of her book and TV show. If you're a fan of manga and you want to learn more about this method of tidying, this is a high recommendation from me. My only issue is that, and I'm not going to open up for copyright reasons, but it's a left to right book, which is kind of weird. I'm curious, I didn't look into this myself, but I'm curious if it got flipped because they wanted more people in the West to be able to read it, because some people do have difficulties with the right to left. So that was kind of interesting to me. And trust me when I say this, I do this method myself, and it works. It really does work. People complain and they're like, oh, she tells you to throw out books. She does not tell you to throw out books. Literally what she says is if you like it, so for example, if you like your manga collection, don't throw it out. It's as simple as that. Only throw out the things that you don't like. So if you like your collection, don't worry, Marie Kondo is not going to break open your door like the Duolingo owl and try to like steal your collection. It's fine. Next we have Silver Spoon, volumes 5 through 7. Hiromu Arakawa, one of the goddesses of manga, writes this. It's not as popular because unlike her other work, Fullmetal Alchemist, you don't have these like crazy action sequences and magic and death and destruction. It's just humble agricultural school life, but it's good stuff. I will warn people. So I originally read the scanlations of Silver Spoon, I know, terrible, before it was ever officially published. So I know what's coming ahead for this story. It's rough. Like, it's straight up adult fears. Like, it's like, I don't want to give away spoilers, but this is wholesome times, and enjoy them now is what I'm saying. Enjoy these sweet, sweet, wholesome times. Always a recommendation for me, Silver Spoon. I just adore it. It's so cute. Speaking of cute, Witch Hat Atelier? Witch Hat Atelier. Interesting title. I noticed, and this is just me, but a lot of manga that I've been getting lately, it's kind of hard to see on this camera, but this is cut off. Like, the spine, like, or rather the back leaks into the spine. And I actually went to Barnes & Noble because I get most of my comics off of Amazon. I went to Barnes & Noble to see if I, well, first off, could buy books, but secondly, I also was like, maybe I should check and see if their volumes have this issue too. And sure enough, every volume at Barnes & Noble had that same issue. So I'm like wondering what's going on. Like, is Kodansha just like pumping out these things? Like, Kodansha is my waifu publisher. I absolutely love them. They're my favorite publisher ever. But I'm kind of getting a little disappointed here. Like, what's the deal? What is the deal, Kodansha? But other than that, Witch Hat Atelier, I think that's how you say it, is beautiful. Oh my gosh, the art is just gorgeous. I mean, you can tell just from this cover alone. It reminds me a lot of Little Witch Academia. It's very similar to that story. The characters are a little bit younger, but it's really fascinating. And the magic system is really, really good. Almost to a point where it's like, I think one of the most unique systems I've seen in manga. So like the system is that anyone can use magic, literally anyone, so long as they know how to draw the right symbols. The only problem is that most people don't know that, and it's a big secret. So there comes this conflict of, should we keep magic a secret, or should everyone have access to magic? It's almost like kind of like a gun control debate. It's really quite interesting, really quite profound too. For what appears to be, I mean, it's rated T, so 10 plus, for what appears to be really a kid's manga. Some tough political stuff in there. Good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, really appreciate it. Now, if you would like, please leave your favorite pickups that you acquired in the past few months in the comments below. And if you have any recommendations for me, that would be awesome too. Until next time, this is CJ, signing off.